All right, and we're back. It's another Neville and Chill with friends. I am joined by Shweta. Shweta is back with us again. Hello, Shweta.
Hello, hello. I'm so excited to
Uh,
be back.
yeah, we're excited to have you back. I was just catching up with you a little bit, and you were telling me about um, how the last time we talked, like we had to kind of cut it off abruptly because like your phone was, your
Mm,
mom was like, "What's
mm,
going on? Where's my daughter?" And she was getting all
mm.
that love that we were sending to her. But you're telling me about how you had a bunch of stuff, you're present to a bunch of stuff, like, oh, there's all these things that we could talk about and this and that. So like, I'm just excited that you're here, excited to get into it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you for inviting me back. Appreciate it. What a cool
yeah.
opportunity to talk to people and share your personal story. Because actually, the other thing I wrapped up the last conversation about is I wanted to come out of hiding. I
Mm,
wanted to come out of
yeah.
hiding on this.
Yes.
That has its own bridge to incidences that I need to be brave enough to take a step in front of.
Yeah.
I looked at the past video and I loved the conversation, but then I saw my first and last name. I'm not gonna lie to you. That took a next level bravery, but I feel so safe in this community. So
I can definitely respect and honor that. I know, yeah, it is a thing. Like having the boldness to be authentic in this way. Like that is a thing. So
yeah,
I commend your courage
thank
and your
you.
bravery, and we're excited that you're ready to come out of hiding and share with
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
That's great. Hello to everyone that is watching on YouTube. We've got a couple people here in the chat. Let's see, we've got Heen. I remember Heen from last time. Got Anna. Hello, Anna. Got Crystal from Oklahoma. Hello, Crystal. David from Barbados. Yeah, there we go. Awesome. Hello from Barbados. Fantastic. Man, anytime I hear Barbados, like I just get flooded with these amazing memories
Mm.
of being in Barbados with a group of Neville people, graduates of one of my courses. It was a 3-month course, and then at the end, everybody flew to Barbados, and we had this beautiful home. It was like a compound, like right by the beach on the sunset coast of Barbados. And I could talk about that all night, but I'm not going to. It was just amazing.
My God. And that was like shortly before we met. I remember I had just met you online and then you were going like a couple months later.
Yeah.
And I mean, talk about FOMO, everybody. I was like, what? By the way, though, I've thought about that. And I met you at kind of the exact right time. And whatever we did was the exact right things to do. But I did hear lots of stories from that trip and it did sound magical.
I've gotten a lot of like interest in people saying that they want to go back. And it's not just like, hey, let's go to Barbados. Because you can just go to Barbados, right? But like people want to do it with other Neville people, and they want, like, I think there's something very attractive about kind of living out this state, like the you are in Barbados state, and manifesting the trip. And I'm sure we can talk about it more another time, but I just
Absolutely. But hey, that's a
all
seed.
the it
Yeah,
is.
that's the seed we plant. Yeah.
It
I'm coming to
is.
Barbados. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have one on the calendar right now, but I have
Mm.
been thinking about it. And I have been looking at places that are suitable for a group. And yeah, it will happen again. Barbados happen again.
This is how ideas are born. Remember, we
Oh
talked
yeah,
about
for sure.
Majestic last time?
For
We
sure.
were like talking or discussing, and then we put a seed in. 3 years later, it bloomed. So
Yeah,
let's see. I
exactly.
mean, I'm not saying it takes 3 years, but sometimes it does.
Well, it's perfect timing.
Yes.
And this willing to be patient and understand that just because it doesn't happen immediately doesn't mean that you haven't aligned with that timeline. Like it's gonna, like you planted the seeds, it's just trusting it. And yeah, so it's like, I think this is actually a very pertinent thing to talk about if we're going to do the Neville and Chill. So we're welcome to Neville and Chill, everybody. It's a vibe. We're going to just hang out and have some conversations about upgrading our imagination, talk about a couple different things coming up. But the first thing that I'm present to is this idea of exactly what you said. Like, hey, you plant the seed, it gestates, maybe it's 3 years, but like comes at the perfect time. So in the channel Mastermind, for channel members, they join, I have a Mastermind level, and every month we get together and we do a Mastermind call. And that Mastermind call, what we do is we connect our imaginations, we create a group mind, and then we perform an imaginal act together in the group mind. And it's a different dynamic than simply imagining on your own. And it's a different level of energy. And it's really cool. And so the one that we did on Sunday, just a couple of days ago, what we did is we had a meeting in our imagination with the dimensional entity known as time. Time itself, like the idea of time. In our imagination, we had time take a form and come into our throne rooms, you know, because we're self-governed nations, right? We have throne rooms, we're sitting on our throne, and time comes to have a conversation with us. And we had the opportunity to write an agreement with time, and then also to bless time and receive a blessing
Oh
from
my God.
time, right? So that
That's
was like a dimensional
phenomenal.
shift. It's so
I love
cool.
it.
So cool.
So cool. Wow. That's blowing my mind right now. I mean, that
Yeah.
the personification of such an important dimension of our lives. I mean, that's what we have, is that, you know, that's
Yeah.
how people measure life, is through this time-space continuum. So it's an important aspect of us that I think is overlooked. Okay, so anyway, I'll let you continue, because the way this conversation is going is we talked about being patient with time,
Mhm.
and now you have this conversation with time. So is there any nugget or anything you'd like to share that you learned or the group shared with you?
Yeah. So I had an experience course, I really enjoyed hearing the sharing from the people who did the meditation with me. So it was like, you know, we all get together. There's, you know, certain procedure that we go through to create this group mind and like click into the right space. And then we all turn off our cameras and I just do a verbal guided meditation into this space. So coming out of that, you know, when we kind of get back and, you know, come back into like our normal waking state, then we share like what just happened as we feel inspired to do. And the sharing really got me. Like there are some profound experiences, because you know I have a relationship with time, you have a relationship with time, every human being has a relationship with time, and yes, there is an individual aspect to it, but also, you know, I think I can relate to anything you would tell me about your experience with time, and I think vice versa. Like we can all kind of relate to what time feels like, and you know, so when people were sharing about how time, for one, embodied itself, right? Is like each person that shared the form that they saw in their imagination that time took, like that was revelatory. It was like other ways of viewing this dimensional entity of time, like, oh, it like showed up this way or showed up that way, right? And then also like what the conversation was, and because we asked questions, right? So one of the questions was, who are you to me? And then just asking that into the silence and having time reply to that. And then another question was, in what way do you serve? And so it's like kind of shifting, you know, because when was the last time you sat down to have a conversation with time and hear its point of view, like its perspective about things, like to like give it even, you know, anthropomorphize it in that way, and then just give it the chance. Like Shweta, I remember a couple years ago when we were doing a lot of work on heart coherence, you shared with me a meditation that you created for talking to our guts. Do you remember
Yeah,
that?
every organ.
Every organ.
That
So
was
yeah, so heart coherence, right? So it's like brain, heart, gut, right? And so like in this meditation, I just remember the gut part right now, but like it's the same
yeah.
thing. When was the last time that you took when was the last time that you sat down and anthropomorphized something like time or like your gut or like whatever and gave it a chance to tell you something, right? So that's pretty cool.
That's really cool. I have to say, I've done some reading on the different cultures around the world
Mhm.
and how they did that. Because one of the ways in which storytelling was done in the past is in the, compared to the empirical, evidential, scientific way we do it now, the ways we shared truth in the past was through these metaphors where we did anthropomorphize different
Yes,
dimensions and different things. And
yes,
one way they did that was through there was some relationship, and I'm still beginning to learn about this, but between Saturn, the planet,
yeah.
time, and rulers. So I have to say, when you talk about this and you're talking about how to anthropomorphize time, I hope I'm saying that word right. Um, I've I have an unfriendly anthropomorphization of it because there's this ruling energy that can happen. I'm not saying that's the only fundamental aspect, but there's definitely a ruling energy because it can rule over you. And I think that the way in which that can happen is you count it, you stress over it, you lose it, you're worried about losing it, and you waste it. And that can be the most painful experience of life. So I can see how they anthropomorphized it as a ruler and how it can, if you don't know who you are, time is your ruler. And you spend a lot of time on this planet and you'll come back over and over to serve other, and this is where we go off the rails, but to serve other and agendas,
Yes.
but if you know who you are, you can become the ruler of time. So I think that's really cool because that's a gentle, beautiful way to handle it. Because when I anthropomorphize time, I think of it as a ruler, and there's this like relationship. Actually, I've thought about this for a while. I'm like, there is this relationship. We're like, oh, time. But then no, we can start engaging with it in a way where it does serve us, and patience, persistence, how those things can craft, things can make us better people. But I still want to do more reading on this because I do wonder what deities all over the world people assigned to it when they did this. Because now what we're kind of doing that. What you're doing is
Mm,
doing that in the modern time, which I find is so cool.
yeah.
Any other insights? Because I could dig into this forever, but any other insights your group found?
Oh yeah. So there was quite a few.
Put you on the spot.
Um, and for those of you that are channel members, the recording is up as of today. I had to like go through and edit everything. So if you want to check it out, you can definitely check it out.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
look
So
it
I think what made me present to it, where I'm bringing it up in this, is when we were talking about this idea of planting seeds, and then just being patient. Knowing that they'll come at the perfect time. Like no stress about like, oh, did it work? Did it not work? Whatever. And we're talking about like Barbados, or like even, the Mad Mystic Tour, just things that we've done that we're
Mhm.
excited about. So I think this implication of excitement is like, oh, we want it to happen soon. But also, when time is our ally and even a best friend, I was getting a lot of in my experience of time, I was getting a lot of symphony orchestra maestro vibes. Time was like,
That makes a lot of
I
sense.
am, I am syncopating this orchestral, experience of the universe with a brilliance that if you never stop to talk to me, you might actually take it for granted and not even understand the incredible radiance of my brilliance as the maestro conducting this the music of the spheres, right? Like the
Mhm.
think about how
Love it.
how thoroughly ubiquitous, like we're literally swimming, the whole universe swims in an ocean of time. Like that's like, so time
Love
was like,
it.
yeah, I'm like syncopated, right? So it's like if
Ah,
symphony orchestra, right? Like if you have these giant cymbals, you know how powerful cymbals can be, right? But only at the right time, because at an off time, it's jarring, right? But like at the right time, it is
yeah,
magical, right? So
fabulous.
it's like the symbols are right there, they're coming, but you're just waiting for the perfect moment, and that's
Ah, I
that's
love that
time.
one. That's so cool. And okay, I gotta add that it reminds me of Neville's metaphor of dreaming in concert. And this actually adds to that metaphor because what we're saying,
Mhm.
what did he say when he said we're all dreaming in concert? He's talking about an agreement we made as infinite beings that don't have time, space,
Yeah.
reality, an agreement to go through this life together. And that concert is that time. So I find that a really apt metaphor. Sick. So I love it. And then I think that that's the way we look at it now, and we own it, we enjoy it, we savor it. And it can be challenging, and that's actually what I was trying to plant the seeds with you about talking about, is that persistence part, because what you said about patience can, to a lot of people, feel frustrating because it can feel like waiting.
Yes.
Waiting is not persistence. Persistence and patience have like two things that twirl together, like, but waiting is not that at all. Waiting is being stuck, feeling stuck, and feeling like time is against you. Whereas patience is enjoying that music, enjoying that time. And the persistence part of it is anytime you're anytime you're moving off of the music that you're making, that ideal, you're gently, sometimes not gently, but gently veering back, into the orchestra. So this is me pushing this metaphor as far as I can. But you hear where I'm coming from.
I do, yeah. Yeah, there's so when I had the idea to start the mastermind, the idea was like, okay, so we're all learning through Sunday Mystery School and everything else that we study as, people who are on this self-growth path. We know how to imagine for ourselves. And typically, I think most people, this is just a hypothesis, obviously I don't know for sure. I think most people, they're like situations. They imagine for situations, they imagine for certain events in their life. It's kind of outcome, like, going to the end, very, world of Caesar things or whatever. And that's great. Like that's exactly what this tool set is for. But the idea of bringing together, people for a mastermind, I was like, with group energy, we have the opportunity to look at bigger things, like
Love
slightly,
it.
yeah, on another
Oh
scale.
my God.
That's where that came from. And it, I obviously we all can say, yeah, time is important and we all experience it, but like sitting down with it and looking at it and, because it's like, remember the Bible stories, we were talking about Bible stories, they're personifications of states, right? These characters in the Bible. And so whenever the story says something about them, it wastes no words. So if it says what a character in the Bible is wearing, that's a revelation of the state. If it says what they're carrying in their hand, the ring, the bracelets, the staff, that's telling you what that state is, right? Like what their name is reveals the state. What they say is a communication, a transmission of something. And so it's like in our imagination, time walks into our throne room, and it's like however it shows up, we're now tapping into this metaphysical transmission, that is packed with meaning, so it's just remarkable. And it's not, for me, it was not like a one and done type thing. I feel like I feel like it's the beginning of a deeper conversation. We did have the opportunity to create an agreement with time, like a conscious agreement, like this is how I want our relationship to go. And that was cool. But also, I don't think that's really something that we do once. I think it's something that's like, this is the
Yes.
beginning.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
time passes, right? And time is the illusory aspect as well. It really meaning the way in which we navigate through the world in this time-space illusion, time can play a lot of tricks on us. So it's it's a very interesting dimension of our existence. And I think that's really interesting. And the way we talk about time, but really we're always in that present now moment. So that present now moment is like beyond time, if you know what I mean. So often we can be in our heads and not be in the present moment. We can be in like the past and the future. But sometimes the way in which time feels like it's going the slowest and the most like beautiful metronome, I guess, would be when I'm in the present moment, not thinking of time, like not thinking of the past and the future, but being here.
Yes.
And it feels almost like that's where like infinite spaces,
Yes.
I don't feel like I'm rushing out of the time, like running out.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's a lot of ways this could go. You always blow my mind.
Well, yeah. So just to talk a little bit more about this idea of time. So one thing that I've become aware of is that even though all of us do experience time somehow, it is subjective. So what I understand now is that time breathes. It's not like a steady linear progression. Like time dilates, it breathes.
Mm.
There's times when it accelerates and times when it decelerates. I'm just gonna tell you something really crazy. You ready? You guys, hold on. Actually,
Yeah, check,
before we
check.
get crazy, let's open up these
Please.
drinks. Right? This is Neville and Chill. We're gonna
Oh,
go into the
yeah.
beyond, but before we do, let's open up these drinks. Shweta, what are you drinking?
So I made myself lemonade because I like refreshing, beautiful, light. And I'm like a citrus person. I put some Perrier and lime juice and a little bit of simple syrup and just like a splash of sugar and salt. And I think it tastes pretty good, but I'm sure it's nothing compared to the drink you're bringing to the table. So
Oh, I
that's
don't know. I think you get a gold star for a self creation, right? Because mine
yeah,
comes.
it's
Mine comes.
pretty good. I might have to make another one at some point. But yeah.
Okay, okay. Cool, cool. Yeah, so for me, we are back to Des Soies. This is a different flavor of Des Soies, same brand that I was enjoying last time we were on a Neville and Chill together. But I realized last time that these are best at a very low temperature. So last time I had just brought up the can, and then over the course of our hour and a half talk, by the time I got to the end, it was lukewarm. So what I did this time is I got a whiskey ice cube here in the shape of a circle, just because I'm bougie like that. And so now I'm going to pour over, so I can have it iced. But here we go. So this is Des Soies. It's a sparkling, non-alcoholic aperitif. And this flavor is Champignon Dreams. Jammy summer fruit, earthy and bitter. Okay. All right, you ready for the ingredients? We have sparkling water, peach, strawberry, black currant, and grapefruit juice blend from concentrate, sherry vinegar,
Hmm.
maple syrup, gentian root extract, green tea extract, passion flower, fenugreek,
Nice.
L-theanine,
Okay.
reishi mushroom beta
Oh, that's what
beacon powder.
champignon means. I really wanted to say it. I didn't want to be
Oh,
wrong. I'm
yeah, yeah,
freaking
yeah. Reishi.
Canadian.
Yeah.
I had to say it,
I'm a freaking
but
Canadian.
I'm happy it's mushroom in there. Great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Juniper, tulsi.
Okay, there's so many random Indian mints in there. I mean, not mints, herbs. With the
Yeah.
fenugreek and the tulsi. Tulsi,
Yeah.
what is the English word for tulsi? That sounds really good. And so does the kind of
Uh,
the other one. So
tulsi is someone in the chat will tell us.
yes.
Tulsi.
Glad you know it. That's awesome. I love that. I love the taste of tulsi.
It's right on the tip of my tongue. I don't know if I forget though. It's fine. Someone no, it's
We'll
fine.
remember.
Yeah.
We'll remember.
Someone will tell us. Yeah. Okay. So let me open this up and pour it, and then we'll do a little toast to Neville and Chill. And I just made a mess, y'all. I just spilled. That's okay though.
You know
It's on
what? You didn't have to tell us because we can't see, but you're so honest.
Um, are we gonna be okay? Yeah, you know what? I think it's fine. I think it's fine. It's contained. All right.
It'll be okay. Yeah. He.
Everything is perfect always. All right, my friends, to another Neville and Chill. Uh,
Cheers. I'm a
cheers.
big cheers person. I love the cheers. So fun. I will cheers multiple times throughout dinner. Like everyone knows that. It's my favorite. Loving it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my God. Same as last time. It's like bouquet of flavors. Like these, you read that, you saw the ingredient list. Like there's layers here. That is phenomenal. These people are, whew. Okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna order
They're,
some. I'm not
they're doing
joking.
it right. Yeah.
I'm
Get them.
ordering this. This is crazy.
They're doing it right. Amazing. Cool. Okay. So we're going to go into the beyond here, but first I just want to take a look at the chat since we've got everybody chatting with us here. Are you able to see the chat, Shweta?
I'm not.
Okay, that's fine.
So
I'll
rely
just
on you to tell me what they're
yeah,
saying.
yeah, yeah. I'll tell you. Yeah. We're all in Barbados and we all went first class. Yes, exactly. Yeah. We got Mike. Hello, Mike, channel member. Promise of Glory was Mike's revelation about time. Time is the promise of
Ooh,
glory.
it's a confident and like beautiful way to put
Yeah, that's yeah, I mean you could just unpack that and that'd take you all night. That's great. Yes. Got Helena. Hello, Helena. Hello all. We're all in Barbados. Man, Barbados is really like we're all here. Yeah, that's fantastic. Tuesdays in Barbados. Yes. Or Lana. Hello. Elena is saying, um, I love this. I took a vocal sound healing class yesterday, vocal sound healing class, and we got to invite each part of the body to vocalize the sound of the moment. Such a powerful practice, she says.
it. Hmm. Okay. That's so cool. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
The sound of the moment. So that's like the present moment. And we're talking about time, which
Yeah.
we conceptualize as this like past, future thing.
Yeah.
So what information, maybe she can tell us, this is my curiosity.
Yeah.
What did she gain or learn or any insights? I would love to learn more about that
All
practice.
right.
And I'll Google it as well.
Yeah, we're going to ask Elena to share a little bit more.
Yeah, please.
Awesome. We have Joseph. Joseph says, hello, first time on a live with you. Hey, welcome to Neville and Chill. You chose a great live to get on. I mean, they're all good, but like Neville and Chill is a special kind of vibe. Awesome. Also from Oklahoma. That's cool. So there's actually, I know several now. You're like probably the fifth, Joseph. Neville people living in Oklahoma. So that's pretty cool. Oklahoma's like getting Nevilleized. That's pretty great.
Ooh. Okay.
From Oklahoma living in Texas. Okay, yeah, cool. Learned about Neville over half a decade ago and been subscribed to you since nearly the beginning. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for that. Very cool. Welcome. We've got Mystic Visions back with us. Hello, Mystic Vision. Steve Dawson says there is no time. So yeah and no. It's both, right? So there is and there also is not. The way that I come to understand it is that it's an illusion. So it's not what people think it is, but we do experience it. So in a way that kind of makes it real. It's not really a black and white thing. It's kind of both. Actually, and this is a little other rabbit trail, but you know how there's this whole group of people who are very serious. Oh my goodness, I hope I'm not. Whew, okay, I was like, do I really
All
want to?
good.
Okay,
Share,
there's a
share
bunch of
away.
people. All right, it's Neville and Chill, right? Okay, we can say whatever.
Uh-huh.
There's a bunch of people who very, very seriously believe that the Earth is flat and that it is not a sphere. And there's people that joke about it and troll about it, and there's other people that are very serious. And
Yes.
I've come to understand that it's not that they're right, and it's also not that they're wrong. It's actually uh, basically if you choose to live on a flat Earth, it becomes flat for you. That's because solipsistic
Yeah.
reality, right? So it's like, don't. So here's the thing: I would never tell you what your Earth is supposed to be like. Okay, but I will tell you this: in my travels, dimensionally, in some of my very deep meditations, brainwave meditations, I have seen things that would lead me to say that like the galaxy conceptualizes itself. Like if you ask the galaxy, like, what are you? It would say it consisted of planets that are spheres, and so it kind of sees itself that way. But we can also choose to see it other ways. And again, it's not that they're right or wrong. This is actually people are we talked about like the universe or the multiverse. I'm now hearing people talk about the polyverse, which is basically this idea that we can all live in very, very different realities, but still intersect each other and have interactions, right? So, maybe
Well, that's really interesting. I I'm going to throw this out here.
Yeah.
There's this random Reddit group and actually community that I sometimes peruse, and it's talking about shifting dimensions and shifting into realities. I have always been incredulous. I'm a novel student, so obviously I'm open-minded to different ideas, but I've always been watching incredulously in groups like shifting dimensions, but also other ones like it. And what I
Hmm.
can tell you is it is extremely real to them.
Oh
So this
yeah.
idea of what's real and what's not real can get a little sticky because the commenter said there is no time.
Yeah.
Agreed. You, me are here sitting and talking. That cannot happen without time. So it's a relevant part of our discussion.
Right.
Their reality in shifting dimensions, where I'm talking about people who believe they went to Hogwarts and they experienced it. People who, I mean, it's hard to explain. There's so many different dimensions that they believe in. And at first I was like, they're making it up. Or I really went through it and I'm a curious person. I started to put the puzzle pieces together that it is extremely real to them. So I agree with you that I don't go down the flat earth path. So if someone, it used to actually bother me because the cognitive dissonance. The
Yeah.
cognitive dissonance used to be painful, right? Now I live in cognitive dissonance. I'm super cool with it. But back in the day, it was very painful. Flat earthers, especially. I remember having it on my dating profile. I think I said something like, just don't reach out to me if you're a flat earther. I don't know. It just really bothered me. However, now I would go a different path. Either way, now I believe that the earth is a toroidal field and a torus shape, which is like a donut shaped
Hmm.
energetically. And the spherical part of it is just the physical part of reality. And the same people that might be rolling their eyes at the flat earth are rolling their eyes at me now. So who cares? As long as
Yeah.
you're living in love, you guys, it doesn't matter what shape it is, the world, okay? At least that's my belief.
To living in love. Yes.
I hope there's no flat earthers in the chat. Or maybe even if there are, we just said we respect your
Hey,
beliefs, right?
yeah, no,
Yeah.
we welcome diverse viewpoints here. This is part of how we respect the creators that we are, right? Is like, okay,
Mm.
you can live in a different, you know, I've seen enough to where my uh my former rigidity about what the world is has been disrupted, and I no longer
Absolutely.
believe that things are fixed in a certain way. I think everything is changeable and anything is possible. So that's like an unlimited way to live. So who am I to say, oh, we're literally unlimited and we can manifest anything and have any experience except a flat earth? Like, come on, really? Okay, so it's like, all right,
Does beg the
unlimited.
question though, because usually the people that are interested in flat earth have a whole host of other beliefs that they're also believing.
Yes.
Are these beliefs helpful? Because that's the other thing about these. You can absolutely go down a path and find all these different threads and algorithmically in life pull
Mm.
yourself into a reality. All of a sudden you lost the path. I mean, it's got you. You know, you're upset with flat earth and why the government is, behind, you know what I'm talking about. So
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
also dabble in those things, meaning I'm curious. I like to know conspiracies and different kinds of things, but the flat earth specifically, I always veer into what's a helpful belief in my life. That's where the truth is.
I love that. I mean, that kind of just like brings it back to home plate, right? It's like, okay, like I feel like you said it in this very calm way, but like honestly, I don't think this can be overstated. Like whatever you are believing is a limitation that you're placing upon reality. So you have to accept it's reality's not outside of you. So like if you believe that something is this way, you are limiting reality to be that. So by very nature, we must we must do exactly what you just said. We must be like, okay, is this a helpful belief? Does this help me live my best life? Does this, does whatever I'm believing is true, like does it align with this whole idea of eyes too pure to behold iniquity, for example, that Neville speaks of, right? Like there's, it's like you choose your limitations with wisdom. I think that's a
Absolutely.
very important, very important thing. Um, let's see if we got in something from Elena in the chat here. Helena says Thai basil is, and that's not Helena that said that. Someone else said Thai basil is
Yummy.
Tulsi.
Oh, yeah, basil.
Holy basil, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so no, Helena was saying it's an invitation to sound and release energy by tuning into different body parts. I noticed my chest felt more open after releasing sound, and my belly
Whoa.
sounded deeper and louder.
That's beautiful. Allows you to express from your soul. That sounds like it's an
Yes.
expression from like such a deep part of your soul, and that's beautiful.
Yes.
A cool practice. And you know what? In a way, we can, anytime I hear a practice like this, I just make it my own. And that would be
Hmm.
an invitation I would put to people is anytime you hear something that sounds cool, you don't have to like, you can make it your own and try those things. Sometimes we feel like we need to stick to a rigid set of ways of practicing imagination. Maybe, oh, only Neville's techniques, or we just put these limitations like you're talking about on ourselves on things. But I love stuff like that. And I think, even the chakra system, which we talked extensively about, can be a really great pairing with Neville's teachings. And this sounds a little bit like that, right? It's the biofield expressing itself through sound. So
Yes.
it's super cool. Thank you for sharing that. That's why I love these live streams, because all these nuggets, because I look at the live chat after, by the way. So if you
Yeah,
have
yeah.
things you want to say, share them.
Yeah.
I will read them later.
Elena says it's a way to shift vibration and release stuck energy, open up and connect and tune into self. Hearing you mention Shveta's body meditation made me think of the similarities. Yeah.
Yes, love it. Okay. So that's really, really awesome. And I think this is where I wanted to bring to I wanted to talk to your audience today, this audience that I think you've built with love and everything with, I wanted to kind of tell them what another big benefit that has come from the Neville journey that isn't so direct. So we talked about how last time, how my family situation improved, how everyone across the greater setting of my life, the greater plot lines of my life started to level up and the spiral went upwards, right? I really
Yes.
wanted to bring to you that that's been the case for other things as well. For example, a person 4 years ago could have never been apolitical. Now I've just naturally really can see the truth in both sides. And it's the biggest relief. Again, not a thing I would have thought to ask for, but the
Yeah.
idea that these shackles have been unshackling me, like the fact that I little by little has been such a blessing. So the spiral upwards will also allow you to release some of those limitations. And it's not things you think of that are important. Maybe you think, hey, being political is good. And maybe it is good in your path. But for me, some of those old shackles really had to leave. And they did when things got better and better. And one of the ways in which it got better was I felt that it wasn't incredibly important to me that everyone agree with me. It just isn't, it's not. I see
Mhm.
the truth. I see what I
Yeah.
see. I know what I saw. I know what I did.
Mhm.
It's just not important that everyone agree with me. So have you ever had that? Have you had that too, where certain certain ways of thinking you could never have imagined that you would let go of? And then now, because of this journey, you talked about it actually with the flat earth, the flat earth thing. Does anything else pop to mind where those are shackles that you let go as a natural consequence of this work?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Finding like arriving in a completely different place and having different eyes to view everything. So like priorities. Like you just kind of mentioned, you're like, yeah, I no longer need consensus from other people in order to validate, right? So it's like that's a big shift in priorities because you could invest a lot of energy trying to build some sort of consensus with other people by like winning their favor or winning an intellectual argument or like a debate, and like trying to win people over to your side. But if you're like, no, I'm actually fine, just existing at peace with what I know to be true for myself, and I don't need other people to think this or be the same way. And I also don't need any validation from anyone else in order to know. Those are huge level ups, and the priorities. I think for me, one thing that goes hand in hand with that is like grace and mercy, right? Because like I think before I kind of accelerated on this path of this growth path, which also matures us in wisdom. When I was younger, I think that I was more likely to hold other people to these, admittedly made up, but still very stringent standards of how people should be or not be. And so, when people didn't meet my stringent, standards or whatever, I would condemn them, because like that was just, something that I did unconsciously. And then again, accelerated path of growth and maturing in wisdom, I've been able to, in a meaningful sense, graduate from the need to condemn and move into this new place where, grace and mercy, right? But it's like there's this elegant poise to being that way, because it's like grace and mercy, but that doesn't mean I'm a weak person. I'm not weak-minded. I don't have weak boundaries. People do not take advantage of me. I'm not, doormat. Like it's not that.
Yes.
I'm still a king, right? Like, and that's not an ego thing. That's just like in my state of being. I'm still self-governed nation, so I have boundaries and everything else. But I am also much quicker to be graceful and merciful than perhaps I was in the past. And honestly, I'll say this: like one of the ways that unfolded for me is understanding states. And what Neville teaches about states. Shweta, you and I have gone into this in detail. Remember the story, the Neville story, where he's at the opera trying to get tickets, and the man in front of him steals, with dishonesty, and Neville, calls him out on it publicly, and as a result of that, he saves the opera from getting ripped off, and the ticket person, out of appreciation for Neville, like catching the dishonesty and making sure it didn't go through, gave him these, VIP seats that to an opera that was sold out. So it was like that was the imaginal bridge of incidents. So what Neville came out of that and said was like, look, that dude didn't have a choice. He was acting under compulsion. He had to be dishonest in that moment because he was responding to my imaginal act. So I'll still call him out, but am I going to condemn him? No, because he was doing what he had to do, right? So it's like when you connect into that, like it opens up this whole other
completely hear you. And again, I want to say it's a spiral. So there are times in which, at least in my spiral, I do forget that. But I have to say, okay, before I go there, you are so embodied in what you just said. I have to say, of knowing you for 5 years, having my loved one, my mother, meeting you and saying she, told me she's no fool. Her character, her judgment of character is amazing. She would say describe you in that way, the elegance, the poise, the ways in which you've handled conflict. So you're very embodied in that. So I really want people to know that, because sometimes you don't always know how a teacher is behind the scenes. And that's just how it is. That's just how it is. That doesn't mean that we need to know every single thing about someone. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, in this case, I can tell you, you're really embodied in handling things with grace, and and all the things you just shared. So that's one thing. But I think that we can fall off of that, and we can fall into judgment, because you're talking about mercy and grace for other people and not condemning them, right? You can fall into judgment, and then you inevitably start judging yourself. And so this kind of ties in, I promise, to a story I wanted to share.
Yeah.
Which is, last time I talked about how my mother, my parents lost their Lexus. And this was something I really tried to manifest back. They lost their Lexus, and I did the same techniques I did for when my mom lost $1.2 million in the nonprofit scam, which you can find the story in the previous live. Yes. So I did the same techniques with the same vigor and the same desire. And it didn't happen. We did not get the Lexus back. There were a few close calls that were surprising, but we didn't get it back. So I'm thinking this is a failure. I'm judging and condemning. Now, in my in this journey of mine, I went back, and every so often I'm like, no, I'll get it back. We got back the Lexus. I'll get it back. So I extended grace and mercy to myself. In that process, I had to forgive the stealers, because you can imagine how violated stealers, is that a word? Thieves? You can imagine how violated we all felt when that happened, and just like how horrible it felt about humanity. I had to go through this experience of grace and forgiveness to those people. Forgive them, for they do not know. That's the Bible quote, I believe, right? Forgive them, Father, for they don't know who they are. What is it? Yeah, I'm gonna have to find that out. But anyway, I had to do that forgiveness for them. And then also forgive myself for failing. That failure that I felt
Yes.
It felt so annoying and bad. I'm like, is this even real? You know how that can happen. And I had to forgive myself for that, forgive them for that. And then all of a sudden we're driving in the car. And I'm like, Mom, that sucks. We didn't, get you back your Lexus. Like, I feel really bad. It didn't work in this case. She's like, you know what? It's fine, because now I have my favorite car. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, I have my favorite car. Look, we're in a Mercedes Benz right now. This is my favorite car. And because of what happened with the Lexus, I'm in my favorite car. So it's all good. I'm like, wait. So what happened with the insurance? Like, what happened with all that? And she's like, no, it's your dad's company's insurance. She had all these long explanation and, basically no issue. And she got her favorite car out of it. So it was only when that happened, did that like realization come to me that manifested in the perfect way. I mean, more perfect than her getting her Lexus back, right? And so
Yeah.
it really is a forgiveness and mercy journey throughout with others, with yourself, and you're doing it little by little until you see that grace kind of out picture. So I have so many
Mm.
other stories about this because there's been many times in my life, Josiah, where I thought I failed. And even in some areas of life, I'm like, what's happening? I'm still in the journey, right? But then the bigger picture later, if I had, stuck the spiral through and continued persisting, I would have seen that, oh God, this actually worked out beautifully and perfectly. So any thoughts from the chat? I'm curious if anyone, have anything.
Yeah, let's take a look here. Helena says, I love that you're embracing dissonance and paradoxes, Shweta. I think that was from a little bit before, but yeah.
Yes,
Um,
that's a big part of it.
uh, Leah says, I love you guys. Thank you for your conversation. Aw, thank you for being
I love
here.
you. Thank
This
you.
is great. Um, many false, a lot of people are saying they've thrown off politics.
I
Um,
like it. Because you can go down that algorithm, Josiah. You can go down. And not even internet wise. It's just how the life is. All of a sudden, you'll start thinking like these. The mind virus got you on both sides. So,
Yeah, Leah says mind virus. Yeah, totally. That's exactly what it is. Once you see that, yeah, it's much easier to disconnect. Leah says maybe your mom manifested her favorite car, and that's what this whole thing was.
I
Like
think
the
she did.
thieves had to steal the car so that she could. Yeah, yeah,
What the heck? And
yeah,
I mean, I gotta tell you, this was really confusing to me because she didn't tell me. Like, we do the manifesting thing together, right? I'm
yeah,
telling you, Mom, I want to get your Lexus back. But it
yeah.
wasn't until months later until I really kind of detangled it in my head, forgave the thieves. So my mom nonchalantly tells me she has her favorite car ever, which I have to say, my mom gets things and it's so natural for her. So the naturalness that Neville talks about is, I have to learn that from her. It just naturally happens that, people throw huge fabulous parties for her. It just naturally
Um,
it just naturally happens that everything works out for her. And I already gushed over my mom. I was like, oh my God, I'm such a mommy's girl last time. But I think it's because she's a fabulous manifester. And
yeah.
I think I like that. I think there's a lot we can learn from people who feel like they're naturally lucky. So yeah, something to think
Mm.
about there.
Oh, I like that as a little bookmark there. We can learn from people who are in that state of naturally lucky. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because there's an alignment. Yeah, yeah. So getting back
Yeah.
to time for a moment.
Yes.
Um, so whatever time is or isn't, um, there is a state where we are in profound alignment with our experience of time.
Mm.
And so I'll like just a really basic example. Um, I was cooking something. I like put it in the oven, and it was like 15 minutes or something like that. And I had to leave the room, and so I knew I wasn't going to be in earshot of when the buzzer would go off, and obviously don't want to overcook my food, right? So I was just like, I will walk back into this room at the perfect time, right? I just set that as an intention. I went
Mm.
to go do whatever I had to do, and I was completely engrossed in something else. And all of a sudden, I just got up and walked into the kitchen. Like it just like I didn't even think about it. My body just stood up and I walked in the kitchen. And right as I came around the corner, beep, 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 like it was perfect. Like the exact perfect time. So really small example here, right? Like simple, but when you're in profound alignment with time,
Mhm.
that can be your experience always. Like
Mhm.
always you're walking in exactly when, you're needed. There's no waiting. Like there's like, you can literally get into this like,
Flow
some
state.
people do it with parking spots, right? Some people do it like, they'll walk into the grocery store and they'll time it in a way where, this person that they've, really were love to see, right, is literally walking right out so they can like have that perfect meeting. And like if it was 2 seconds earlier or later, never would have crossed paths, right? Like you can literally get into this state where there is no stress. Time is literally your superpower. It's like this, this big guardian angel standing over you, like maestro, like orchestrating all these events for you to experience them in this very graceful way. And I just think that that's like obviously just the tip of the iceberg about what time can be. In the
Mhm.
chat, Mike said, Mike, who was in our mastermind call meeting time in this way, he said something that stuck with me that I did not articulate on Sunday was the tangible sense that time loves me deeply.
Hmm. Hmm.
Talk about anthropomorphizing, right? But it's like it's not just, we're making up a shape for it to take. There's a relationship here. And like what
Hmm.
are the possibilities for that
Oh
relationship?
my God. So I guess my question to Mike would be, in his life, does he find that he is more on the side of rushing for time, mismanaging time, losing time, wasting time, or in his life, I'm just curious, you don't have to share this, Mike, but just something to think about here.
Yeah.
Or is it more that he's in flow state, which is what I think you're describing there, heart brain coherent state of like, being in one with your environment so much that you know exactly what you're doing. So I would be curious if you're anthropomorphizing it in that way, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that means, maybe that means something about how you're managing time really effectively.
Mike, you can definitely answer that question, but I would encourage you to choose a conscious story, right? Because you're about to speak into existence and experience with time.
Mhm.
So just when what do you like? Yeah. So I'll just leave it at that. Tell a conscious story.
Self-observation, self-observation, right? Where are we currently at?
Mhm.
Definition of aim, detachment. So
Yes.
absolutely. And I think that speaks to the anthropomorphization, speaks to a symbolic representation of what's already going on, right? Like if I'm reading it as a ruler, if back in the day people are reading time as this sadistic ruler, what relationship are they kind of having? And I think speaks to the personal reality part that you always talk about.
So I mean, so we are experiencing time by the nature through being in this reality field. Time is a component or an aspect of the experience of this reality field. But in truth, in a dimensionally greater sense, we exist outside of time. And so, do you remember we were talking in? Actually, I don't remember when we were talking. I just know we were talking about how we are the eternal youth. Like God sees us as the eternal youth, David who does all his will, right? So it's like eternal youth. So we're that in the state of being in these reality fields, we are eternally young, meaning that we're always going and doing things, right? Like young people do. Like we're eternally young in that way, and eternal, so outside of time, but having temporal experiences as
Mhm.
non-temporal beings, right? So we come into a temporal experience to be that eternal youth, to go and do things. You live that never-ending story. It's doing this, and then when that's done, you'll do this, and when that's done, you'll do this, and that just continues on and on and on. Even after take off this body, put on another one, take that one off, put on another one, take that one off, put on another one. Like it just
Mhm.
goes. So it's like we are eternal beings being youthful and having temporal experiences.
I
And
like
so,
it. Yeah.
right? So it's like, and this gets into some of the stuff we talk about in Sunday Mystery School about how, the name of God, everything exists and nothing can be deleted from the experience that is all things. But in the name of the sons, which we all are, we have the tooth. the flame, the shin that consumes and tears down things that we don't want to experience anymore so that something else can happen. Well, that happens in time. In fact, time is one of the, is the maestro of that, right? So it's like, I mean, just think about how loaded our language is with references to time. A while ago, sometimes, tomorrow, for a long time, it was pretty quick, right? Oh, I'll be there real fast, right? Like it's like we're just oozing, words and like linking to this temporal, dimension just so casually, right? But it's like when you begin to understand, time is the maestro enabling us to have these experiences of being the eternal you. So, it's just okay. So this is can I tell you something crazy now? Okay.
Please.
So we're gonna go into the beyond a little bit. Okay. So as you all know, I really enjoy. I'm getting some hearts in the chat. It means they want the crazy stuff. Okay, cool. I really enjoy deep meditations, and I use I've had training, I've been practicing, I have, tools, I have technology, I have, light-based brainwave entrainment systems, I have sound-based brainwave entrainment systems, I have a Shakti mat, that I use to like help my body get relaxed enough to do some of these, traveling meditations. And I really enjoy brainwave entrainment tracks, and I've shared some of those with the audience, just like Spotify tracks and stuff. And so it's like for me, it's like it's going on an adventure, because now that I understand the way that brainwave states work, I understand that I am literally moving in awareness, using some of these tools. So I am traveling, even if my body is just laying on the bed, like my awareness is traveling. So for me, it's like going on an adventure, like, getting on a plane, but not in a physical way. It's in another dimensional way. So, I've become quite prolific in these experiences recently because I started taking them very seriously. So I started, I now have a set travel day of my week where I have my routine, and it's like I get up and I do this, and this, and then I have a business call at this time. And then after that, my schedule is clear, and that's my time to do these, 4 or 5 hour meditations. And since I've carved out time in my life to do this with this level of focus and attention, naturally, anything you invest that type of energy into is going to, grow and expand exponentially. So that's what I've been experiencing. My ability to understand, like what's happening in some of these states, my ability to perceive dimensional information, like greater dimensional or multidimensional information. And then even from some of the experiences that I've had in these spaces, I was taught, if you remember, I was telling, I think it was Frank, back when I had my Neville and Chill with Frank, I was talking about how I had a conversation with water, and water was teaching me about what water is and also how to use water consciously in the way that it's intended to be used. Specifically as a store of information. So by being coached by water on how to use water, I was able to upgrade my ability to not just go and have experiences, but actually bring information back that inform me in this experience. Like to actually like land it, ground it, and integrate it. So I'm just kind of setting the tone here, setting the stage. So there's this one track that I found. And I just want to be really, really clear. Like, this is not a track I just sit down and do. I go through a preparatory process. And then this track comes at like maybe 2.5 hours into the process, because my brainwave state is in the appropriate place. Like I'm at the appropriate state of consciousness. And then I put on this track. It's a Spotify track, and it's called Time Travel. Okay. It's only, according to the track on Spotify, right? Because everything is time like based, right? So it's like only 8 minutes, okay? Which is like for a meditation, not a long track, but it's time travel. So saying that it's 8 minutes long is actually like, that's a non sequitur. Like it's when you're in the brainwave state and you put on this time travel track, like time does not exist in a linear way. Like when you're in the brainwave state and you're listening to this particular track. So this is where we get into a little bit of the beyond. So again, going through this process, getting to the appropriate brainwave state, and then putting on this track. There's this oscillating binaural entrainment tone. I'm sure all of you are familiar with that. Like there's like two different things happening, and your brain is frequency following response. Like it's like processing, and then the goal is to find alignment like between the two frequencies. Like you're finding the middle one. So your brain is like two sides of your brain coming into one, creating this new thing out of the stimulus. And so put on the track, and it's like oscillating. And then I found this place like where it's oscillating, and then I find this place where time stops. There's literally a state of awareness where time stops. Now this shouldn't surprise anybody because Neville talked about this, and for a long time I was just kind of like blown away by Neville talking about stopping time. I was like, okay, that's a whole nother level. I didn't even know how to relate to that. But I found this place, again, using this process where I click into this specific frequency in my mind-body complex, and I perceive that time stops. And at the same time that happens, the oscillation stops and becomes one tone. And at first, when it first happened, it tripped me out. I was like, did the track just change? No, because I recentered and I got back into the place, and I found that moment in between moments where time stopped and the sound went steady again. And I was like, oh, this is me. This is my brain. Like my brain is making it one tone. You know, it's not the track that's changing. Literally my brain is finding this place. It's so wild. So that could be, there's like my ability to understand what Neville was talking about has just, it's just gone off the charts, right? So it's like, now I've experienced this for myself. So where time stops, right? And like one of the things I notice is that like the brain finds that middle tone, which is the whole point of the track to begin with, but you don't always find it because, like I said, I just thought it was this oscillation until it wasn't, and then I was like, oh my God, here it is. But in that space, it's still point. It's literally like pure awareness, and it's like everything stops. And so I've been practicing finding it, and then I'll notice that like then a thought will come in, and then it's like a fall off of it, and this start to oscillate again, and then I have to recenter myself and find it again, and then the tone becomes clear and steady. And then here comes a thought, and then I fall off and it starts to oscillate. And I'm like, this is literally like time is being responsive, in my experience to the state of my.
Yeah. Dude, that is so,
Yeah.
I mean, I have to be honest, that sounds incredibly advanced. And I want to find a way to relate this, because I guess what you're saying here is in different brainwave states, we experience time differently.
Yes.
And there is a state of awareness in which you can experience not a lack of time, but when we say time doesn't exist, it's, again, very hard to conceptualize, but you experience that state where it's timelessness. And as soon as the thought comes, a thought that takes you away from that brainwave state awareness, because, you're getting more active. A thought comes when you're more active in it. You're back into time. And that reminds me of how I experience time when I dream. I'm a person who experiences extremely vivid dreams. Sometimes they feel like they're lasting forever. I'm like, aren't I supposed to be resting? I don't want to do this forever. The longest, most drawn out and exhausting dream sometimes, right? It feels like it takes forever. And sometimes I've had a nap that felt like it took 3 hours, but I only napped for 20 minutes. And I always wondered if it's my brainwave state that is slowing it down, slowing that time down, and how that stretches out to me. I mean, anyone who's watching you in that, I wonder, so anyone who was watching you do that meditation, they only saw you do, 8 minutes? So I just wanted to get a clarity on your story. So are you saying that you meditated for 4 to 5 hours, then you had 8 minutes of one track? Can you clarify that a little?
Yeah. So what it is not just, sitting down and plugging headphones and playing an 8-minute track. It's I've already been through the steps, walking me down from, normal, which is mostly like
Mhm.
beta, alpha, light alpha type thing, like walking down into alpha and then to theta and then into gamma. And then like, so gamma is like being, it's aware of
Oh,
other
yeah. Yes.
dimensional realities. And then at that place, which I'm learning how to do this
Yes. Yes.
better. But right now, that takes me about 2.5 hours based on a series of tracks
Mm.
that I use to like, because I have to fully relax. I mean, this is not like
Absolutely.
advanced. I have to fully
Yeah.
relax my body. I have to stop. I have to like make peace with my day because if I have anything that I'm thinking about my
Mhm.
day, like this isn't, and there's not
Hmm.
going to launch, right? It's going to be a
Interesting.
failure to launch, right? So it's like this whole thing, and then like getting into that deep state of relaxation, and then I have it in my playlist to where after I'm there, which like I said, about 2.5 hours, this track will come on. And so I'm
Mhm.
already in this very, carefully
Okay.
crafted dream
I
state.
see.
And then I'm experiencing this particular set of frequencies, which is where I
Yeah.
become aware of
That's
this
so
of being
cool.
in
I mean,
between.
and
Yeah.
Neville touched the surface on this on with SATs. We tried to teach state akin to sleep to people, but
Yeah.
he also obviously traversed, did lots of astral projection, traversed, like you said, traveling in different states of awareness. And some of his stories in that are are astounding. So I guess this is also an encouragement to those of you who are in the chat that, we got waking states, we got sleeping state. There's a lot of range in between and maybe even beyond that, because in sleep you can actually experience time, and that would be
Mhm.
what my understanding of it.
Yeah.
And that's like a delta, I think that's delta sleep maybe. But there's a deeper set of relaxation you can have that's not even sleep, that's like beyond sleep, that is so relaxed that you have no thoughts. Because in dreaming state often, and I guess because in sleeping there's not just one kind of state anyway, but
Yeah.
in some of that dreaming state you're really kind of, you're practically in an illusory world like this, maybe just a
Yeah. Yeah.
little
Yeah.
loosey goosey, but you're
Yeah.
sometimes you're still like, in a just a confusing time space kind of experience there. Time, you know what I'm talking about. So anyway,
Yeah.
quite fascinating to think that your brainwave states show you time differently and have you experience time differently. And that's cool that you're doing a lot of this, because then you can share with us, because I know none of us, not all of us have these specific
Yeah.
interests and dedication to put into it. So thank you for
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Happy to be the researcher here. Yeah, no, it's really cool. So like it brings up a lot of questions for me. I was like, okay, because I'm in it, right? I'm laying down. I have headphones. I have an eye mask. I'm in a room by myself, and I won't be disturbed for this block of time, right? So it's like, does it exchange the experience of time for anyone else? I'm gonna say no, but also I don't know. I don't know.
You don't
So
know.
it's like, and how like even
That's
it's
true.
possible it could be, and nobody even realizes, like, it's not even conscious. So I don't know.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
does does motion stop in the room? I don't know because I'd have to open my eyes and come out of the state. And I think I haven't tried, right? So I can't say.
Yeah.
Because
But you're
Neville was like, "Oh,
exploring.
everything froze. Like the birds stopped
Yes.
flying. People, the
Yes.
soup stopped being drank." Right? It's like, so I don't know, but I
Mhm.
do know that perceptually I found that place, and then I
So
made that
cool.
observation about what my brainwave state was doing when I found it.
It's too cool.
Yeah.
One of the things that Neville talked about was, you talked about we talked earlier about going to places. Maybe there's in the laws of the universe a reality where the world is flat. Neville talked about going to a reality through these kind of experimentations like what you're doing, where he said people would put a little, press a button and get a little like chip, and they would eat it, and that would be their food for the day. Now, when I first read that, I love Neville's lectures, right? And
Yeah.
I'm trying to get some practical know-how on how to manifest my reality.
Like, how do I
I
get?
remember thinking, what is this?
What even
And
is?
I remember he was describing that he was doing it with a bunch of friends. Like him and his friends were, one of his, pal down the street, tried this astral projection thing, and he tried it in this way. And I'm really finding this like encouragement based on what you just said to try my hand at it. So maybe it's not 4 or 5, 2, 3 hours of this, you know what I mean? Like the same process you might have done, but maybe
Mhm.
I need to sit down, put an eye mask on, put some binaural beats on my earphones, and see what where the brainwave states take me.
Yes.
Lessons about time. It sounds like you have been able to glean something out of this that allows you to, that you can actually use and utilize too. So I think that's a really cool encouragement. And I guess that would be my question to you. Like, what have you felt like based on your experience with this? Are there any like profound or interesting insights that has brought to like your day-to-day life?
Absolutely. So the first one is exactly that. The first one is how practical travel like this can be. Because I before I had this contrived limitation, which remember we were talking about how everything is a limitation that we're consenting to until we stop consenting to it. I had a contrived limitation where I just was like, like I'm living a 3D physical life. So like, why do I need to go and, it's like, maybe it's trendy or it's maybe it sounds cool or maybe if I, feel bored, it's like a way to like go have a different experience, whatever. But I did not comprehend at that time that there was a direct link between what happens there or what can be perceived there and what this reality field is. So I'd say that's the first thing is exactly how practical these travels have been for me. And so I'll just like share a little bit about how that is true. So when I sit down to do these things, it's never just because it's like this like from a place of wisdom, right? Like I don't like I would never just take recreational psychedelic drugs like just for entertainment. That's not the kind of person I am. Like I would do it with an intention, but like that intention in my mind is the most important part, right? So it's like, okay, but like I'm not just gonna do it and see what happens. Like I'm not bored in that way, at least not at this stage of my life, right? So it's like I treat these meditations the same way. Like for me, it's not just, oh, let's see what happens. Like I go into it with an intention, and usually I write the intention down so that I'm like, I have it to the point where I can say like exactly what I'm going in for. And I'll say things like, help me to my greater self, right? Help me understand how what I perceive in the reality fields that I travel to in this, meditation I'm about to do applies to my daily life. Like that will literally be an intention that I'll set. And then I'll go in and all of a sudden I'm getting downloads and I'm seeing past, present, and future of this timeline that I'm on. And I'm able to, walk, situations to their end and then walk them back to their genesis and then like understand if that's what I want or if that's not what I want and like understand what, with a clarity of perception, what needs to be changed and how to go about it. Like there's it's this, intense, it's access to this just astounding field of information. And so it can show up in all these different ways, but like even just understanding like the experience that I had with time, right? Like to me, that's very practical because it completely shifted my understanding of what time even is.
So practical, so
right?
practical. You don't let it rule over you anymore. You're not rushing
Exactly.
around. You put it in its rightful place. Absolutely. That makes perfect sense. It ends up being practical. And I think that's what Neville said. He said some of the most metaphysical ideas can be the most practical. That is not a direct quote. I'll find what he exactly said, but it's very true. And I think that makes perfect sense. So yeah, let's not just go into something and see what happens because we know how creative our minds can be, and it can really take you off of an interesting path that wasn't maybe what you set out to do. So it's a great point. Set an intention before you do inner exploration, which brings me to a point I've always wanted to make, which is, those people that go from like they learn about metaphysics, they learn about consciousness, and then all of a sudden, they go delve into what they consider the new age, and all of a sudden they shift right back to like religious beliefs. So they come in, they do all these kind of things you're talking about, transcendental meditation, different modalities of going within. But they're going without that strong intention, without that strong foundation you're talking about, Josiah, of who we really are. And when they go within what they're seeing there, because they don't have that row in their boat, they're seeing demons, they're seeing, and they're seeing all these like scary entities. And sometimes they can really not be well after that. And then they really veer right and go back into the illusion and never explore again. So I think what you point out about intention and being responsible is important, because I actually noticed that there was this tie between folks trying transcendental meditation and these techniques you're talking about without having a proper understanding of who they are, because you can see some scary stuff in there, right? Right, Josiah?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So I'm grateful that I had a very wise teacher who was my travel guide, like the first time that I decided to learn about astral projection and try it. I told a little bit of this story. Oh, I think it was on Frank, when I was talking with Frank, I was sharing about my astral projection experience in France. And so he just like brought it up. He's like, okay, so let's talk about like all the weird things that you can see when you're in these states. And he was just like very wise about it. He's like, look, it really is mediated by your intention. And you are the power here. So like you need to choose what you're going to place your attention on. And you also, it's like anything else, set and setting. Like you need to like be, intentional and wise about how you're going into these things. There's a lot of things that can go wrong when people, don't use wise progressions, right? So it's like I wouldn't tell a lay person, and what I mean by that is like someone who hasn't done work on themselves, hasn't learned even something as basic as heart coherence. Like to me, that's like literally step one of one. Like everybody, I don't care if you're the least metaphysical person on the planet and the most practical, you still need to understand heart coherence, like literally how you navigate your nervous system as a human being, right? But it's like if you've never done energy work, if you have, never, opened your heart, if you're still holding a lot of grief and trauma, or if you're suppressing a lot of anger or frustration or, all the things that we can repress, right? Like if you're like a very repressed, pent-up person, this is like handing you, a gallon of gas and a bunch of matches and saying, let's go, bad things could happen. Okay. So it's like there's a wise progression is always the wisest way to go about things like that. So, it's one of the reasons why I feel like I feel like, I feel encouraged in a way to share some of these things. Because I could very much just be like, okay, I'm just going to kind of keep this to myself, and I would be fine in with doing that. But one of the reasons why I share is to like, help people understand, from someone that's doing it, like what this is, and how it can be practical. I'm not trying to sow seeds of FOMO at all. It's like when you're ready, like you probably, if you're hearing me in this moment, right? Because like, algorithms and everything else, like we tend to find our people. Okay. So it's like, if you're hearing me in this moment, chances are this isn't that out there for you. Like on some level, you're probably resonating to these ideas to some extent, right? So it's like, I think also if it's resonating with you, then this idea of a wise progression is probably resonating with you too.
Love it. Love
So
it.
yeah, it's a state. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think you're right. The wise progression, and I think that's how Neville experiences life, because he started off with creating his reality step by step, starting out the Great Depression, building his way up with his belief, and then experiencing the promise, which his later book started to lose people because he's talking about timeless and interesting experiences. So that wise progression, and it's you taking that step at a time, and it's you directing that whole time. But it's interesting you bring up that's why you wanted to share your experiences, because I'll tell you why I want to come out of hiding. It's because in my experience of manifesting my desires and creating my reality, which I still, that really is the crux of what I'm continuing to do here, is using manifesting techniques to create my reality. I want to be honest about the journey and the struggles and the failures and the seeming failures and the seeming struggles, the struggles that I held on that I didn't need to hold on to. I want to be honest about that, because it can feel like a very pat journey that everything is perfect. The coaches online can be quite sometimes aggressive and overly simplistic. And I want to be that voice that does this whole journey justice, because it's a deep journey. It's thorough. It has so many layers to it, and it's spherical, and the progression, it doesn't always seem linear, but it gets there. And you want to be a part of a community that's honest about that, because those that are trying to sell you a quick and easy dream can steer you off your own inner wisdom. And I see that a lot in the community. I think that's part and parcel of it. I'm not going to blame those people. Again, I'm really not caught up in blaming or shaming anyone at all, which is such a freeing feeling. Because you can kind of see even in the Neville community, people really lose the everyone is you pushed out part and really get rattled up in the comments. So I guess my point is, that's why I love this community and in the work you do, Josiah, is that there's this earnest desire to show the truth of these experiences, and you keep yourself vulnerable. And, it's not a get rich quick scheme. Although there are people that like manifest lottery wins. There's a man named Timothy Schultz, I believe. He talks about it on YouTube. But you know what's interesting about that? The get rich quick lottery winners, they too had to do some of this inner work we're talking about. It just happened differently. They do have to do it. And now that comes with its own perils, as we all know what happens with lottery winners often, that kind of thing. But there is still that beautiful journey and that progression and that aspect of it. It's not, it can't be like, it just can't be like a dirty way of doing things. Anyway, there's a lot of layers and a lot of questions I have for the chat as well. Maybe next time we do this, Josiah, I'm gonna manifest knowing how to see the chat while we I love to see it. In a way, it's kind of like, it might be a little distracting, but in another way, I love the comments and your community all the time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, yeah, we have
Figure it out.
the very best. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope I tell all of you how much I love you on a regular basis. I hope that's not unsaid. Yeah, we have an amazing Neville community, and at least in the past, meaning I know it's still true for my channel. I'm not going to say that the rest of the world is like, I'm not going to,
Yeah.
but like, my videos are one of the ones that you can actually read the comment section and come away.
Exactly.
It's other places maybe not, but these videos. So like, that's I'm so blessed and I'm appreciative of that. We are blessed and appreciated. It's not about me. It's our community. This is like, you're not leaving comments for me. Like, this is a contribution to the community. This is our family. So like, that's it's a whole nother level. So I just one more thing to kind of touch on what you were saying and contribute to the arc of our conversation here is when you're talking about like people that can mislead other people in some of these teachings intentionally or unintentionally, or just whatever. And so one of the things so this is another example of something that I've brought back from travels in a multidimensional sense that has been super practical for my life. So one of the things that I saw in one of these brainwave states, I was, I'm going to speak as though it's speaking to me, because like I think we can all understand what that means, like we're having like a telepathic conversation with this greater aspect of ourselves. So I was speaking to this to the field of intelligence, and the field of intelligence was explaining to me about how our reality fields are like the core language of our reality fields could be described as being math. Like there's a math to everything, and then how geometric forms are an expression of math, and also an expression of like a dimensional reality could be expressed as a geometrical form, particularly like a sacred geometrical form like this. And so what the voice or the intelligence told me is, it said, you can only comprehend a geometry that is at the same level of consciousness that you are, right? Like you can't, and by comprehend, I mean, we can see it, right? But to comprehend it, you have to be at the level of consciousness that matches the geometry, right? So it's like, the wisdom encoded in this idea is that you can only see. It's another way of saying, right? You can only see what you're aware of being, right? So Neville said this, and he didn't say it in the same way, but when I had this experience, I had this flashback to hearing him talk about things like this. He's like this idea of you can only see what you are. So he's like, to know a thing, you have to be that thing, right? You say you want to know God, well, then you have to like connect to that state where you are, and then like know it by experience. You can think of a thing, but to think from that thing, like you have to become that thing to like really say that you know it. So that's what I mean about comprehend a geometry or comprehend a form. You have to become it, and by that you have to align your level of consciousness with it. And so as I'm holding, you can probably imagine the level of consciousness that I was talking to in that moment was represented by this geometry. It's the dodecahedron. So how is that practical, right? Okay, cool. Like math, geometries, level of consciousness, whatever. So that when I came back from that was like this line in the sand of my life where I realized that from this moment forward, I will only evaluate what other people have to say to me by one thing. What is the level of consciousness of the person that is talking to me right now? That's like that's the only way to really evaluate, right? Because it's like, and I think I touched on this a little bit in Sunday Mystery School too. It's like, I'm not going to take advice from a doctor who doesn't understand what the human body is in the way that I understand it. Okay. I'm not going to take advice from, someone who's, trying to teach, about manifesting or about realities or whatever, unless their level of consciousness is at a
Yeah,
place where, they can communicate, something that's valid and newsworthy, right? So it's like that's how I guess qualify
that
um,
makes sense.
people,
Sure.
right? But I have to like tie right into that, grace and mercy, right? So it's not like a condemn. Oh, you're in a low, it's not like that.
They're
It's
helping
like
others, like meaning like maybe they're not right for us. They're definitely not right for
yeah,
us. But I do see in their comments, you helped me, you changed my life, and I don't doubt those either, you
yeah,
know. So it's
yeah,
kind of like what you've always told me that because I always used to tell you I don't feel like I'm ready to share my story because I'm not there yet, and you'd be like, well, you're gonna help all the people that are right behind you, where you can so there's always the teacher for the right person. And what is it that there's a statement of um the student always finds their teacher, or the teacher always finds their student.
the
So there
student is
is
ready, the
this
teacher can.
element. So that's the mercy and non-judgment aspect of it, but I stay away from some of those teachers as well. Because I think partially, and let me know how you feel about this, Josiah. Yes, it's beautiful to be in a community, and I think that's actually crucial, especially in the beginning. But a lot of this is a personal journey too, and you go from teacher to teacher, sometimes idea to idea. You
Yes.
thoroughly enjoy it, experience it, and then you outgrow it. And then it's a personal journey. Yes, you might have a teacher in the Indian initiation. They call it a guru, but then sometimes you outgrow that guru, or you absorb what that guru had to say, and then maybe you look at them and it's just not real anymore. So it's a very self-directed journey
It
too, right?
is.
Wouldn't you say?
It is. One of my favorite quotes from a student who contributed a lot to our courses. She said, "Light too soon will blind a person." Right? And like there's a wisdom to that. Light too soon will blind a person, right? So it's like you're sleeping in a dark blacked out room. Like you can't just like flip on all the lights. It's super aggressive. It'll blind you, right? You have to like, crack the window to the blind just a little bit and let a little pool of light come in and then adjust, right? And then maybe turn on that, little salt lamp in the corner. It's like real gentle, glow. Okay, and let my light, adjust to that. And then you can eventually get to the point where it's, all the lights are on and you're able to handle it. So
I
yeah, so this
love that.
in no
Yeah,
way is this a condemnation of anybody.
absolutely.
Everybody serves their
No,
purpose, but
yeah,
it
absolutely.
is a call to awareness. Like
Love
that's
it.
what I walked away from this with is like,
Yeah.
oh, this awareness, like just be aware of, and this goes back to what I was saying about states, like just understanding, like sometimes, like just having interactions with strangers and just being able to perceive very, very quickly exactly the state that they're in
Yeah,
and then know how to interact with them based on the state that they're in because it's like empathic. I can understand
absolutely.
what their motives are. I can understand what they're feeling, what they're thinking, like just where they are. I can understand the level of consciousness, right? So it's like it becomes
Mm.
this empathic
It's another sense. It's another sense.
another sense.
Maybe
Yes.
again, you're embodied in this again because I always feel really understood by you, which is not something a state I usually have felt in the past. I mean, now we're getting there, but
Yeah.
absolutely. So it's very embodied by you, and that's very true. And I have to say, another huge benefit that I wouldn't have seen coming 7 years of Neville journey would be that I can see in most cases, like 80 to 90% of the time, every day in my life, how I caused something. Oh yeah, I thought that. Oh yeah. And it's like regular for me. It's not, it
Conscious
used to
awareness.
be, oh, how did I happen? It was like
Yeah.
mysterious.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now it's like, no, I thought that happened.
Yeah.
And it's so matter of fact, it's almost boring at this point. Like I'm like, okay, yeah, I knew I shouldn't have. And it's not like thoughts, it's states, it's seeds. I almost feel and I can see where I planted that seed, that unfriendly, unkind thought about that other person.
Mhm.
That interaction that I didn't revise. So that
Yeah.
revision being a huge aspect of it, because what is revision? Revision is going back in time through consciousness to
Yeah.
rewrite something
Yes.
to be more favorable. And
Yeah.
that seems to affect and have ripple effects to your current time space reality. But how are you going through time? You're going through consciousness. You're traveling back through time and rewriting that memory. And I think, this is another encouragement. encouragement to myself as well, because sometimes we let those unfriendly things seed and move forward, but to revise those things that we think have receded back in time, because as Neville says, it will come back to greet us later in time.
Absolutely. The circle and the spiral. Yeah, understanding. He says it does not recede into the past to be forgotten, but rather it leaves sight temporarily and then will come back to confront you in either its pruned or unpruned state, meaning it's
My
either
God,
comes
yeah.
back again, but you revised it so it shows up the proper way, like in the ideal, or it comes back and you didn't revise it, and so now it's
Mm.
all gnarly, like, hey, you didn't pay attention to me last time, let's try
That's
this again.
true. It's very video game like. Like you're on the same level.
Yeah.
Okay, fine, try again. But it's like the same set of circumstances over and over. Very, very, very true. And I have to say, that's another gem I learned is anything that's a pattern. So we talk about where do we start with creating our reality? There's usually one desire that brings you to this, or two that brings you to this path, someone that you love, or a health issue. But then you go broader and you look at patterns. And I think that's where we start if I could go back in time. That's what I would start is by
Yes.
looking at my broader patterns and themes, because
Yeah.
in the beginning it's hard to pinpoint, but now I look at things in patterns and themes and they're way easier to confront. And I'm going to talk about things like, for example, my reputation in a friend group, or there were things like I was always like the jokester and the clown. And I really didn't like that. I didn't like that. I wanted to be taken seriously and considered intelligent in front of my friends. And I didn't want to lose that other part of me. But then the more, like, let's say something came up where I was being laughed at again, I would be like, these people don't understand me. But then when the more I revised that and pruned that and remembered that every single time that came up and changed that, that has completely changed. And these were things, again, that maybe I didn't consider important in the beginning, but the practicing of the pruning. So I'm curious, and maybe I'm going to ask the chat and I'm going to read this later. How many people here practice revision, and what are things you've revised lately? Is this encouragement like landing, to go back in time? We're talking about time to revise so that it doesn't continue in the present moment.
Yeah, that's a great prompt, and I haven't looked at the chat in a minute here, so let's go back to it. Let's see where we are. Marcio says, it's so cool that Shweta can have a manifesting partner in her mom. Aw, that's great. Yeah, what a gift that is. Wow, that a lot of people maybe don't have that. You're blessed in that you have that. That's awesome.
She doesn't take it too seriously. She
No,
just does it
that's
and
good.
moves
Like,
on. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. But
yeah,
I like to take it seriously. I have a different path.
yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
Forgive them, for they know not what they do, has taken a new meaning for me, because everyone is my assumption of them pushed out. That's even better clarity.
Mm. Mm-mm-mm.
Crystal. It's crystal clear, Crystal.
Whoa.
Everyone is my assumption of them, my assumption of them pushed out. Ooh, yeah. They have no choice but to act how I perceive them. This is why I forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do, has taken on such a new meaning for me. And Mystic Vision's like, yes. That's awesome. Yes. Allison says, this is really awesome to hear. Thanks, you too. Our pleasure. Thank you for joining us. Ram says, kind of like Judas having to do what he did. Oh yeah, absolutely, because he had to walk the story forward.
That's a really good. Yeah.
Crystal says, when I cook, I use no measurements or timers. I just feel the ingredients as I
Good
mix
one.
and seem to know when to check on them on the oven. Everyone loves my cooking. Yeah, because that's the godlike way to cook. Like you're
Super cool.
the divine chef, Crystal. Amazing. Here is Mike's conscious story. He says, I have been manifesting flow state consciously. I had been feeling trapped by time until recently. I was shifting that, but I was shocked at the way time appeared as an entirely benevolent entity.
That's good.
That's really good. Yeah, that's
To
beautiful.
be honest, I'm happy for you. I mean, I know that sounds weird maybe as a response, but I'm really happy that that's the place that and that's what you've done with time. Beautiful.
Marcio says, what is the ayin part in the name of the sun? You, my friend, need to come to Sunday Mystery School, the next one, because I believe that's where we're going to talk about the ayin. I mean, you can deduce it by context too, right? It's Yod Hey Vow Shin Ayin, right? So it's the seeing, what you are, becoming what you are, having the ability to destroy what you're not, or what choose to be aware of one thing, and then that final ayin is the physical, like what comes out of all that you actually are experiencing. Yeah. Um, Oh yeah, so Carrie says it's the I, the physical objective world. So it's what you see after you go through that process. Yeah, yeah. Hello, Carrie. Carrie is being she's helping out in the chat here. That's great. Awesome. Okay,
Thank you.
zero gravity, the timeless version.
Ooh,
Okay,
okay.
dang, bringing it to another level. That's really cool. I got an impression that time is just trying to create art and wants it to be appreciated.
That's amazing.
Yeah, yes, and it makes me think of, because time, right? Because we did this thing with time in our mastermind, and so I've just been very, obviously we talked about it a lot, but I've been very present to it, just in even, um, I was present to it before we did the call, because it came up, like, and I knew that it was time to have a meeting with time, and then it ended up being the topic of the mastermind, and then I was sitting with it, and I was just really admiring this piece of music that I just love. I just love this piece of music. It's this EDM artist who brought this full symphony orchestra to Red Rocks
Mm.
amphitheater in Colorado, and then he did this just stunning composition that's a mixture of electronic music and this full orchestra, and it is just, I mean, just it's just stunning. It's so beautiful.
Oh,
The sounds, the movements, like it's just stunning. And so I was over the weekend was watching it on YouTube. It's called Opio and the Opulent Orchestra, if you're curious, and he has a
okay.
cinematic film of this event on YouTube. And like I said, it's just stunning. So I was just like watching it on my TV, and sounds cranked up, and we're listening to it. And I was just present to this description that someone said one time. They were like, "Oh, so you take a painting and you decorate your wall, and music is how you decorate time."
Wow. That's beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. So a super
Yeah.
super present to that, right? Because again, the
Yeah.
maestro, like time is the maestro, the symphony of the multiverse, everything. Yeah, and then like music is how we decorate our
That's
time, right?
true.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can't have art without space time. I mean, at least not from where I'm standing. How are you supposed to? And so what the commenter said, I don't know their name, about how they get the sense that time is just trying to make art and wanting to be appreciated. I kind of get where that's coming from deeply, because there is this lack of appreciation that it feels like sometimes humanity can fall into, of their experience, right? We're always striving and evolving and moving forward, when if we have an appreciation of what just is, life becomes so much more artistic, whether that's nature, whether that's appreciation and gratitude for like the blessings that are obviously there. So I think there's this call towards appreciation, that of the present moment, of what you already have, that the commenter is referring to. That's kind of beautiful. So that's a really interesting way to put it. So thanks for sharing.
yeah, yeah. Final thought on that idea. So again, I was talking about the symbols. You can see why I use that as an analogy, right? Because I was watching this orchestra. It's like the symbols, at the perfect time are masterful and stunning and like amazing experience, and at the wrong time, like can be very jarring, right? So it's like this perfection type thing. But it's this idea of like, going back to what we were saying about planting the seed of Barbados and then it sprouts 3 years later. It's like if all the dreams, I mean, this is why we're in a temporal field, right? If all the dreams came true all at the same time, we wouldn't enjoy it because it'd just be chaos, right? So it's like it has to be organized somehow, right? So it's like that's the job that time does for us. It organizes them so that we can, have this moment and we love, every aspect of it, and we're fully there and we're fully present, and we experience, whatever it is, and it's joyful. And then it fades and we go on to the next. Like time is what makes that happen, right?
Love
Like
it.
if you listen to an 8-minute song in a second, it would just be this super loud explosion, right? That just like
Yeah,
boom, and you're like, "Whoa." But if you spread it out over time, now it's this amazing
that's true.
symphonic composition.
You would lose the point of it if you
You
did it in
lose
a
the point.
second. You lose the whole
Totally.
point, and it's like a movie where you just saw the ending, and it's like
Yeah.
you didn't enjoy the movie. You missed the whole point of the movie just watching the ending. Which, by the way, my dad he only likes to watch happy movies, and he only likes to watch endings of movies. And I
Yeah.
have to say, I find it very boring, and I think that speaks to what you're talking about here. Like you only want to
Yeah.
watch the happy part at the end. There's no payoff,
That's so funny. Yeah.
and I think that the illusory experience of time, um like when we think of the illusory experience of time, if we think of it as serving us, that what you said makes perfect sense. Like
Mm-hmm.
why would it be that way? And so
Yeah.
really fascinating discussion here today. I mean, I look at
For
the
sure.
time and it's been almost 2 hours talking about time.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's we're gonna wrap up on the chat there, and then I think we'll be good for tonight. Let's see what else we got here. Okay. Uh, that is so effing cool. Thank you for sharing. I never thought of time from that perspective. The one that time's just trying to create art and wants it to be appreciated. Yeah, absolutely. Very cool. Helena says, being grounded in values before exploring anything. Yes, exactly. Yes, that is the imagine wisely state, being grounded in values before exploring. Um, oh, Moon Bunny, hi. Moon Bunny says, couldn't get to the stream until now. Thankfully, there's the ability to replay. Yes, there
Go
is.
back in time.
You can go back in time and relive it. There you go. Amazing. It's the circle. Yeah.
Sorry, I had to do it.
Um, okay, Moon Bunny. Elena, Leah, Mystic Vision says, you are two rare birds in truth.
Thank you. I love being called a rare bird. I've recently,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you, I recently become a bird lover.
Oh,
I did
okay.
not know about myself. I'm a bird watcher. I'm obsessed. I'm always like, look at that one, look at this one. I downloaded an app and
That's
I'm
amazing.
obsessed with them. So that's
That's
actually
so
quite a
great.
compliment.
Birds are amazing.
Stunning,
Birds are
beautiful. Like when I hear them, I feel like I'm walking into heaven.
yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah. I, I,
Oh,
I I love it.
they're
Amazing.
so
Yeah.
magical. So thank
Uh,
you.
Happy Homesteader says hello from Chesapeake City. That's in Maryland.
Ooh.
Miss Vision says, meanwhile, most of the best spiritual teachers are not teaching the law at all. Yeah,
Interesting take.
that's actually yeah, I see what you're saying
Yeah.
by that. Yes. Um, I think that's one of the things that set Neville in a place of distinction is that he taught both. And I think there's something
Absolutely.
that's just a beautiful. I mean, I understand why some teachers don't. Like I totally get that. And I also understand why some people that's all they teach is how to get stuff. Like I get that, but like I take a holistic perspective, and I see the value in those that can balance these
Yeah.
aspects.
It's true. The Indian gurus that I grew up with, they decided they know this is a game and they were done with it. They went to the mountains, they went to the trees, and they were done with it. That was not inspiring to me, and it's actually not inspiring to most of the people on the planet.
Yeah.
So love that Neville made it practical, and that's why I'm forever grateful that he was able to remember, okay, it's a game. That doesn't mean we should let it go completely. Not everyone wants to do that. So
Yeah. Yep. Um, Mystic Vision says, was just listening to a great teacher saying that sometimes he had visions and then it happened exactly like that. He really didn't seem to know, but in all honesty, he could very well pretend that he didn't know. Yeah, it's possible. Yeah. Oliver says, happy to catch you guys live. Yeah, glad you're here, Oliver. Awesome. Loves the combo. Fantastic. Crystal is crystal clear. Yes. Crystal says, I've only revised one thing, something personal, but the very next day the person acted as if it never happened and he has never brought it up again.
Keep going. Do it for more stuff. Love it.
More stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Allow that to inspire expansion and continue to do it. So cool. Your nose will tell you when the food is done, cooking, baking. There is a done smell. Yes, there is. Awesome. Opio and the Opulent Orchestra. Joseph knows either that or he's just taking notes. Yeah, so it's literally this. It's a cinematic, like they shot it with these amazing camera angles. It is so stunningly beautiful. And then it's like, for me, it's for me personally, it's best live album of all time. Like it has that status in my personal opinion. So if you want to check it out, like yeah,
I'm gonna listen to it.
stunning. Yeah. You can't have space time without art, Moon Bunny says. That's great. Because I think you said have art without space time. Yeah, you can't have space time without art. Yeah, that's true. And Joseph says, taking notes for after. Yeah, exactly. Opio and the Opulent Orchestra. So cool. Yeah, Shweta, I have really enjoyed this conversation. This has been
Yes.
great. Neville and Chill bringing it once again. Like these spaces are so lovely, and I love having them. If you're in the chat and you are enjoying this conversation, will you just tap that thumbs up button on the video so that we can let the algo know that what happens here is, pretty cool. We think so. That would be great. We would appreciate that. And yeah, I think with that we're gonna wrap up. But before I do, I have to give my little pitch about Sunday Mystery School. So I think most of you probably know by now, but I still am finding some people that follow my channel that don't know what Sunday Mystery School is. So I'm just gonna go ahead and let you all know. Sunday Mystery School is a series, and it's going to happen for a long time, but that doesn't mean you should sleep on it, because it is a initiation, and it is really the intention behind it is to bring people together in a way that creates a sense of community, yes, but also a shared language. It's a language training. It's there's a million different ways to talk about these things, a million different words or phrases or verbiage that you could use, right? So it's like it's a way of kind of standardizing to give us this shared foundation that is going to enable us to build some pretty amazing things together. And I think at the beginning I said, pretty much anything that we can do by ourselves can also be more fun when we do it with other people. Right? So it's like, is this a personal, private journey? Well, yeah, it can be. And also we can share and do, how do we share? Well, with language, right? So like, that's what this is all about. It's a language training. And, we started with the Neville Goddard masterclass, his original one, where it's a wise progression. There's a lot of, just thought and care that has gone into how this is coming together. So it's every Sunday live. And then obviously you can catch the recording, they stay up. And if you're a channel member at the Mastermind level, you get to join the Zoom room so that you can talk with me before and contribute during. And sometimes we hang out and talk after. So it's just like a more interactive experience, which is really cool. So again, Neville's original masterclass, we're going to continue with that. I think we've done 5 so far. So the 6th one will be this Sunday. And we're going to continue with that. So that's the like, get down to business, no wasted words, very focused, like let's do this energy. Whereas Neville and Chill balances that out with like hang out and talk to Shweta, right? Like have, really no agenda, no plan, no script, and the other one doesn't have a script either, but it definitely has like focus, right? So this is the vibe. That's the get down to business and do great things, venue. So yeah, definitely check us out on Sunday for Sunday Mystery School. Shweta, anything else you would like to share here as we wrap up?
Well, I want to encourage people to drop by your Sunday mystery school, because I see a lot of the seeds I planted in some of your earlier programs back in the day have really helped, have been bloomed over the years. And also because, I mean, I'm not a fan of organized religion for many reasons I'm sure are shared by the people in this audience. But one of the things they do well is building community and consistency. And I
Mm,
think these ideas can, in the beginning, can either take over us in ways that are not very
mm,
helpful. So I think it's just useful to come to an audience, I mean, to come to a community like this, with people that have tried and true, and that can share their experiences and learn from it in a bit of a deeper setting than maybe what you'll find in other places. And I can tell you that from experience. So that's one thing I want to share. The other thing I want to say is follow me on my Instagram. It's private, but I'll accept you, because what
yeah,
I'm going to do is share personal experiences about my use of the law. So I
yeah.
love what Josiah teaches, and all the other gurus teach as well, about who we are. And I guess I want to share the practical aspect of how that's actually applied. So it would be cool. And yeah, that's about it. That's about it for me. And thank you for inviting me again to Neville and Chill.
Is it My Cosmic Concert?
Exactly. My
How
copy.
appropriate.
Yes.
My Cosmic Concert. Yes, I just put it in the chat, and then I think it's also in the description. If it's not, I'll make sure it goes in there.
Yeah.
But that's Instagram. So go give Shweta a follow on Instagram.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
yeah, that'll be beautiful, and it'll help you be encouraged to come out of hiding even more. It's such a weird way to say it, but I kind of like it because I feel like we're like,
Well, it is. It feels like I am in hiding in many ways. And
yeah.
one time a person in real life did tell me, "Hey, I came across your YouTube video with Brian Scott. We edited an interview with him, and he was like, that was a really cool idea. And it felt like the weirdest glitch in the Matrix because no one in my real life had seen me talk about this, but it was fine. I was like, it wasn't
Yeah,
the craziest deal. He was like, it was
yeah,
pretty cool. I didn't know you were a new thought researcher or whatever. I was like,
yeah.
okay. And I just like moved swiftly along. But I'm encouraged to do this because this is the most important truth of my life. So if I
Mm,
can't come out with this, come on. So yeah, I'm encouraged to do more of it. So thank you for giving me an opportunity to do that.
fantastic. Awesome. Yes, absolutely. And thank you so much. The girl who bought the pearl. Yeah, that's the one.
That's me.
Yeah,
I will accept all invites and share more stories.
fantastic. Yeah. Yeah. Tony says he's excited. He's waiting for you to share more. Very cool. Awesome. Okay. Well, that's it for tonight. Thank you everyone who came to the Neville and Chill, hanging out with us. Thanks for everyone who's watching the recording. We feel your energy. Because all time is now, right? So like there is no there is no after. It's just now. So we will look forward to seeing all of you at Sunday Mystery School. And until then, my friends, there's really only one thing to do. Imagine wisely. And we will see you all soon. Take care, everybody.